Hello everyone, welcome back to Tank Wars 3. I am your host Chromoid, and we're going to be looking at yet another secondary bracket match in round 2 for this video. This time we have Skullsploder on the right fielding 10 of his jackhammers against Dragonslayer918 on the left, fielding the same layout he had before of Ballista Tank Destroyers on the sides, Oculus light tanks and a Grey Mauler in the middle, and in the back a line of Grey Tyrant MBTs flanking a single Vanguard heavy tank land cruiser. So, with the introductions out of the way, let's get this fight started. 3, 2, 1, battle. And as always, this is going to be all or nothing for these vehicles as the loser gets sent home. Only the winner may continue on in the tournament at this point. So, this is for all the marbles. Jackhammers trying their best to get a hold of some early damage, firing some pretty high velocity shells into one of the MBTs at the back. Actually, I think that is the Vanguard. Yeah, that's the Vanguard heavy tank. Eating a lot of jackhammer shells. It's handling them quite well. 94.8%, not too badly. Jackhammers taking a little smattering of damage all across the board. One of them is going to careen right into a Grey Tyrant and get crushed. Thankfully, the Grey Tyrant does not field any rams, or that would have hurt a lot worse. Bounces off the Grey Tyrant. You have the Grey Mauler firing back at the scampering jackhammers that have crossed through the battle lines. And it's just chaos everywhere. A couple of jackhammers have come to a halt. This jackhammer has at least. I'm not sure if it's damaged or if it's just trying to decide what to do. Oh, it's just changing vectors, just doing it rather slowly. Takes a Grey Tyrant shot to the side. I don't see any shots coming out of the ballistas, although they are kind of out of missiles at this moment. Ah, there comes a missile. Hits its own teammate. That's unfortunate. Oculuses going across the field. The jackhammers are very nimble and seem to pack a decent punch. I'm not sure how much of a punch. All of Dragonslayer's team is above 95%, and one of the jackhammers is already down to 95.3%. So, yeah, two of them, 95.3 and 95.7. So I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go just yet. This is quite a slugfest. I gotta get out of here so the frames don't keep dropping like this. There's just way too much happening for me to keep up with all of it. You see the laser targeters from the ballistas painting the targets on the on that jackhammer there. Another one over there. I don't know what that one's doing. It's not painting any targets at all. This one's actively aiming. That one's just kind of doing nothing. It may have taken some damage that caught. Yeah, it's at 95.3%. It may have lost some critical detection on it. Let me see here. Yeah, it might have lost some detection features, so it can't shoot anymore. That's a real shame. Those missiles are pretty beefy. The Vanguard is still doing okay. It's plugging. No, I'm sorry. That's a main battle tank. Where's the Vanguard at? Vanguard, where are you at? Oh, there it is. It's in the distance, running away. But it's already down to 75.5%, and it's thankfully still got its turret. But yeah, it's taking some heavy damage. In fact, I'm not sure if that turret's really viable anymore. Pretty beefy railgun turret, but yeah, with it running away like that, I'm not too confident in its abilities right now. It is shooting the simple grenade launchers on the side, but those aren't going to do much against these heavily armored jackhammers that are chasing it down. They are taking shots to the back and to the rear as missiles and shells hit them from the remaining tanks that are chasing them down. But if they can despawn that land cruiser pretty quickly here, they'll have a significant advantage. Each jackhammer is just a tank type vehicle. The land cruiser costs over 55,000 materials. So yeah, they could definitely get a significant health point lead. Oh no. Oh no, the Vanguard's running up the hill. Well, that's bad for two reasons. First of all, if it has no stops, it's going to run up and over the top of the mountains and be immediately despawned out of the tournament. And secondly, it's giving everything shooting at it a completely unobstructed target. And probably a very slow one at that as it starts to reach the top of the hill. There are more pieces falling off of it. The jackhammers give chase. The jackhammers seem to handle terrain effortlessly. They skate crazily along the side. They're also rather light, it would seem. So they have pretty good top speed and agility. Sometimes too much, as they kind of skitter around on their sides. But very stable, very fast, and that seems to serve them well, at least in this case. Yeah. I think the jackhammers also have the largest caliber gun on the entirety of Skullsploder's team. Yep, more simple weapons going off, trying to catch that jackhammer out. That jackhammer is going to get up on the ridge, but it'll be okay. It's only if it goes above this ridge to the next height. Oh, that it will be in danger. Those missiles are dangerous, though. They're looping around trying to get a piece of that jackhammer. Fortunately, for the jackhammer, they miss. Very even fight so far, 92.9% to 95.2%. All the weapons seem to be mostly in play for both teams. Up, and Oculus rams the jackhammer down below. And I say they all seem to be in play, but this one's kind of missing most of its weapons, so that's been stripped out. The rest of the jackhammers are down here playing around with the majority of Dragonslayer's team. It's pretty much half of his team is down here facing off against a handful of jackhammers, and then another handful of his team is facing off against the majority of the jackhammers on the slopes there. And they've all just kind of spread out everywhere. The Gray Mauler, which we didn't see much of in the last match, is hanging in there, is trying to give chase. I think it wants to ram that jackhammer while pumping it with that Gatling, but not really doing a good job keeping up with the much faster jackhammer tanks. Oh, 63.6% for the Vanguard. It is very badly wounded. It has forsaken the slopes, having taken a lot of damage, and is still running backwards as more pieces fall off of it, and my camera control goes crazy. You can see the gauge increasers have been knocked off. The gun is pretty much ruined at this point. It's ineffective. The only thing that still works are the simple weapons attached to it, and those aren't going to do much, as I've said, against these vehicles. They're very tightly armored, very low, very nimble. They're going to be very hard to hit. You need a large blast radius, like some diff guns have, or high velocity, high penetration guns to get a hold of these and do some significant damage to them. They're not impervious by any stretch of the imagination, and as you can see, a lot of them is primarily made of metal, except for the turret cap. But yeah, they're very agile. You have to have a quick gun to catch these off guard. Oculus light tanks streaking down the hill, trying to do some damage while they can. The majority of Dragonslayer's team is okay. Oh no, a jackhammer just got despawned. Well, it probably took on way too many main battle tanks for its own good, if I had to guess. Gray Mauler over here, still pumping. Oh no, another jackhammer just eats it. Yeah, they're snapping the turrets off of these jackhammers left and right. The Mauler and the Tyrants are. Yeah, these Tyrants have a very good gun, and seeing as how there's quite a few of them on the field and they can take a beating, they are doing a good job of immobilizing and then ripping apart the jackhammers one by one, especially since most of them are over there taking care of the Vanguard. And that means that Skullsploder is on a timer here. He really needs to get rid of that Vanguard very quickly so the rest of his tanks can come down and start hopefully picking apart the rest of these main battle tanks before too many of his own jackhammers are despawned. Getting picked off solo like this. On their own, each jackhammer doesn't have a very high rate of fire, and I think they have decent penetration, but not enough for it to matter in a 1 versus 3 like this. And I'm not counting the jackhammer in the middle here. It's pretty much ruined at this point. I mean, it has detection, but okay, it can still fire. Could still fire. It's just taken a big shot to the rear of the turret cap. I think the majority of the gun is in the hull, though. That might be the case. And if that's the case, then they're doing okay. Oh no, Ballista, what are you doing? Don't shoot your own team. That's not helping anybody but the enemy. The other Ballista seems to still be struggling to target anything. Looks like it's trying to lead something that isn't there. Yeah, the main battle, the Gray Tyrants are just circling around, putting shots into all angles of this poor... Oh no. Jackhammer loses its turret and goes down. That's going to be a dead jackhammer. Losing the turret pretty much seems to kill them instantly. And that's doubtless how the other two were despawned. Look at this one just railing around the field at high speed. But you see the others are still alive and mostly still weapon capable. And yeah, the Vanguard is doing its job, I think. The Vanguard has held on long enough to distract all of the jackhammers. And even though it's worse for wear, it hasn't been despawned. It's about 3.8% from being despawned, but yeah, the jackhammers haven't dealt with it. They've eliminated the weapon, and that's about it. And it took a lot of damage that could have been going into these other slightly lighter tanks around it. Yeah, the jackhammers, pound for pound, are much lighter than Dragonslayer's tanks. I think the Oculus is pretty much the equivalent of a jackhammer in terms of material cost. That doesn't mean they're the same in performance. It's just that, you know, that's roughly what you're looking at here. And I think that may have been intentional. I think the jackhammers were supposed to be light, fast, and agile, and rely on punchy guns. I know Skullsploder said he built these guns with a different set of settings in the game, which led him to believe they were a lot better than they actually are. So that's a bit unfortunate, but they're putting on a good showing. Unfortunately, I think they might not have the raw damage needed to eventually dismantle this team Dragonslayer is fielding. There's enough variety and weight here that, yeah, I don't think these tanks are gonna cut it. And even with the ballistas hitting their own tanks more often than the enemy, yeah, I don't think there's enough jackhammers left to do anything. I mean, you've got a tyrant here that is taking a few shots. Some things are scattered between 70 and 80%, things in the high 90s as well. But I mean, nothing's been despawned for Dragon Slayer, and so that puts him at a massive hit point advantage over Skullsplitter, who has now lost 3 tanks and is at risk of losing more. In terms of firepower, Skullsploder is down to 6 tanks, not 7, because one is looks like its gun has been rendered ineffective. This one right here, I don't think the gun's still working on that. Thankfully, the turret hasn't popped, or that vehicle would be out for sure. Another missile catches it. Every missile that hits is more damage added to the pile. There's more damage hitting that turret cap. It is made almost exclusively out of heavy armor, so it's going to take a while to kill that. They probably have to dig through the internals and pop the turret off. I don't know. Sorry. That was my bad. Yeah, there's a significant outnumbering going on now, and with that many vehicles outnumbering him, I think Skullsploder stands to lose this very quickly here. The Mauler still firing its rapid-fire gun into the side of this jackhammer. Jackhammer's trying to take a single tyrant on, but I think pound for pound the tyrants just far outclass the jackhammers. 2 versus 1 might be fair, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that either. It's a real shame the Land Cruiser hasn't been eliminated yet. That might give Skullsploder a chance to get back into this thing, but yeah, no, he's losing health at an alarming rate now, and we're at 3.5, just under 4 minutes to go. There's the Land Cruiser careening into the jackhammers, knocking them around, doing what it can. That shot did not help it at all. Jackhammer's completely ignoring the very wounded Land Cruiser in the middle of them. Honestly, I think at this point they really should just kill it. That'll at least give them a hit point advantage. But I think the priorities are such that they won't actually do that. It looks like they're tracking that tyrant in the middle instead. Yeah, they're tracking the tyrant, trying to knock out the gun on the tyrant. Mauler is still... I think it wants to get a ram, but at this point it's not going to. I have to say, I love the design of the Mauler. It looks very white flares, and I've always liked their aesthetic. That thing just looks wicked. Yeah, there's some damage. Using a Great Tyrant ticking down to 79.7%. I mean, they're getting hurt by the jackhammers, but I just don't think there's enough jackhammer left to do the job. I think I've said that like 10 different times in 6 different ways, but, you know, I don't know what else to say. We're kind of just waiting for the end here. Unless there's a major upset, unless something really bad happens to Dragonslayer's team, I think he's got a comfortable win here. Jackhammer's just not doing enough. Oh, well, that was kind of what I was talking about right there. That's the Vanguard down to 46.9%. I'm not sure what hit it, but yeah, wow. Down to 72.6%. Well, that's still a comfortable lead for Dragonslayer at 3 minutes to go. Really, it's got to be a few of these tyrants being taken out now, in addition to that Vanguard being destroyed. It lasted way longer than it should have, and it did a fantastic job of drawing enemy fire. Tyrants hiding. They do have a superior They do have a height advantage over the jackhammer, so they can kind of shoot over some terrain the jackhammers might find difficult. And you see them shooting, they're just hitting the hill there. That jackhammer is sitting still, it's not moving at all, which is probably an indicator that it's been critically wounded at this point. Maybe the fuel tanks have been destroyed, I don't know. Ooh, that was a big hit. Right into the wheelbase. Yeah, I think this is going to go the distance. I don't see Skullsploder's team being eliminated completely, but I also don't see them coming back from this anytime soon. They're at 59.3%. Dragonslayer's team has hardly taken any damage. Nice little jumping shot there from the Skullsploder tank, but unfortunately it has no gun, so it can't even make a shot. It just kind of leaps and leaves. Very theatrical, though. I do like it. I appreciate it. Very low rate of fire guns on the jackhammers. I'm not entirely sure how good that is in this setting. I feel like you need a higher volume or just bigger damage per shot if you're going to go that slow. The excessive speed on the vehicles is very nice. I think that helps with especially with the balance of armor they've been given. I think that's very nice, but I mean, they just don't have any real damage output that can compete with these massive vehicles they're going up against. All them all are still alive. All the tyrants are still alive and fairly healthy. I mean, they're at 70. One's at 75%, but the rest are all mid to high 80%. All of them still have their guns. The ballistas have been allowed to shoot missiles this entire time. Yeah, I think this is comfortably Dragonslayer's win. He's only lost another 0.5%, and Skullsploder's team is just running out of firepower. Guns have been disabled one after the other, and yeah, that's pretty much gonna wrap it up, I think. We'll let it run the distance. Another minute and a half of this to go. A lot of mobility here from both teams, which is very good, I think. Dragonslayer's team did have to go up against Owo's team in the last match they had, which is what sent them down here. And their mobility did prove to be rather effective against the massive direct input feed guns from that Owo likes to field. In that except for the Vanguard, most of the Dragonslayer tanks were able to dodge out of the way and not sustain much damage from the direct input feed guns of the 55 men's. What did them in that match, I believe, was the 30 men's running up against them and blasting their armor away. Ooh, that looks rough. That's seen better days. This tyrant has gotten itself stuck. Still firing though, still good. Oh man, and this poor jackhammer, looking pretty pitiful. I don't think it can shoot that. I don't think it can hit that. Maybe it can. I don't know if it can shoot anymore though. So yeah, it's just going to be a bit more skirmishing for another 30 seconds, and that's going to be it. That means that Dragonslayer has pretty handily taken on Skullsploder and beaten him out of the tournament, meaning that Dragonslayer918 will be continuing in the secondary bracket. And Skullsploder, despite his best efforts, is going to be eliminated and will have to think up a new strategy for the next tournament. But I have been Chromoid. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you all who participate. I do value everyone's time that they put into this. And I will catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.